Hello everybody and welcome back. This is Not a Pro Gardener here. We are in zone 6B. The weather outside right now is full sun and it's 50 degrees outside with a little breeze blowing, which is perfect. Perfect for direct seeding, and we have some direct seeding in store for you guys today. We got spinach in raised beds. We're going to be putting a couple different kinds of spinach. We got a Savoy spinach. We have a smooth leaf spinach, which is going to be kind of like a baby harvest for us, hopefully. And we're going to talk more in depth about those varieties in a moment. Now, why do we want to direct seed our spinach? Well, we do it early before the ground temperatures warm up, because the germination temperature for spinach is, if it's too high, they will not germinate in my experience. And they tend to germinate better in cooler temperatures. And I've had a lot of success with direct seeding them between the first week of March. As we store our seeds in the fridge in a way that kind of stratifies them, which helps them germinate. It's a process called stratification. It's exposing the seeds to cold and moist conditions to encourage germination. And it usually takes about a month of them sitting in my fridge, but I usually store them year-round in the fridge now because it's a pretty good method. Today it is March 4th, so last night it got down to about 36 or 32 degrees, and that's perfect because whenever the ground temperature starts warming up, that'll be perfect for them to germinate, and they will still get some of that cold temperatures, which they desperately need, and they'll enjoy, in my experience. I've had a lot of success with this. We had about 3 inches of rain yesterday, and we are waiting for it to dry up. Now, we also had a chance to source some compost, which I do have in my truck behind me, and I'm going to be topping these beds with 1 to 2 inches of this compost as well to help get that nice fluffy seed bed for these guys as well. And this will be the first time that I've direct seeded directly into the compost. Usually we've just had regular topsoil in the raised beds, but this year I've actually found some compost, so we're going to put some in the raised beds, and you're going to watch me do that. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so this is pretty much the gist of what this compost looks like. It does look a little wood chippy, but it's the best I could get a hold of at the time for a pretty decent price. But it kind of holds a little bit of shape when you squeeze it. It's not really wet or anything, and it smells pretty good. It smells like some good fresh compost. So we're going to go ahead and get some of this out there and maybe even sift a little bit of the wood chips out for the top to help keep it nice and clean. So we got all of this compost down here. Now we're going to be putting it in this back side of the raised bed. We're going to direct seed some spinach, and in this, I don't know if you can see it or not, but this lower raised bed here, I want to put some spinach in there as well, and then the carrots eventually will go in this one, is what I'm planning. So we're going to go ahead and dump some of this stuff in there and get it prepped. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. I can squeeze it and it holds shape, so it's got something going for it. I'm not really a big fan of all the wood chips per se, which is why I'm sifting out the bigger ones, which is kind of a rip. It does have a little bit of wood chips left in it. I'm just going to let that go. It's just, I'm going to make the best of what I got here. But this stuff seems to be really nice and fluffy, and it holds shape when I squeeze it together, and it's not really, it's very, it ain't dry, but it feels dry, you know, but when you squeeze it, it holds shape pretty well. So I think it's pretty decent stuff. It's just really wood chippy, which I'm not a big fan of wood chips in my stuff because they can kind of hold up some nitrogen from my plants, but I think it'll be all right. Just use what you got, and this stuff looks pretty good once you spread it around, though. Looks really rich and black, and I'm happy with it. All right, since you seen me get this one done, I'm gonna go ahead and do this part of behind the raised bed on my own here, and we'll come back to it. Okay, so we got some of this sifted out here, and we got this leveled out, and it's ready to go. And when you put about 2 inches of this stuff down, you need to remember that it can be kind of dry. So keep an eye on it for the first couple of weeks, probably, till you get a feel for how much water you need to be giving this to keep this compost nice and moist for the seeds. That's definitely key for any of these seeds, is they need to have the moisture to germinate, so you don't want to forget that. So now this Bloomsdale spinach variety that we tried last year, it is a 45-day to maturity spinach. It's an heirloom open pollinated spinach that is known for its heat tolerance in late spring and early fall. The variety was introduced in 1920s, and it has been a backyard gardener's favorite since. The plants have an upright growth habit, and it keeps the leaves cleaner during rainfall. It also is easy to harvest because they're more upright. The leaves are thick and heavy savoyed or crinkled, and they are very nutritious, and they are great for cooking or eating raw. And last year I really liked them, so I'm hoping these seeds are still good for me to get some more out of them this year. So we're going to put some here, probably 4 or 5 rows in here, and we're going to seed them thick, maybe 1 inch apart. And if we get more than one in there, it's not a big deal. I have plenty of seeds. Spinach, it's kind of iffy because I like to seed them heavier because germination can be iffy sometimes for somebody, and I'd rather have a stand of spinach than rather not use a few more seeds, you know. So we're gonna put the Bloomsdale spinach right here. So let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just gonna make some furrows with my fingers here. Okay, so as you can see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows that I'm going to put in here. Let's go ahead and get the spinach open. Okay, so you only want these to be a 1/2 inch deep. So I'm just going to grab some small handful here and just slowly start dropping them in. Just want to sprinkle some seeds in there. Okay, now that we got these guys in, we're just going to gently cover them back up. We don't want to bury them too much. All you need is a 1/2 inch to cover them, and that's it. Chickens are going nuts over there. And then once you got them covered up like that, you just want to give them a little press, seed to soil contact. All right, now we just got our simple watering can here, and we're just going to kind of give them a little drink, a little bit at a time. You don't want to do too much, but as you can see, the compost is really soaking it up. And that's what you want, because it's going to hold a lot of water in there, and we'll probably water it a couple times to make sure we get it completely all the way watered through, which is very important. I've heard some people having problems with compost being really dry, and if you don't make sure you get it watered all the way through the first time. All right, it's soaking up that 1 gallon of water I have there, so we're going to go ahead and let that sit and come back to it later. Okay, so now we're going to be putting spinach in this bed as well that we topped with that compost that we showed you. And something we're going to do a little differently here is we're going to put some drip in here. The other bed already had that installed, so now we're going to install this so we know exactly where we want to put this stuff at. And I've had very good luck with using this dripping tube here. It's a 6-inch emitter spacing. And I mean, I've had pretty good luck with it so far. I haven't had any problems just yet. So I'm just going to put it like that. And then instead of doing rows, I think I'm just going to go around the circle, kind of maybe like a spiral pattern or something like that. The seaside spinach has a 30-day to maturity. It has a 30-day maturity, and it's 30 days to maturity. It's a hybrid spinach with slow bolting, and is a slow bolting variety for spring and summer. It has an upright growing habit, spade-shaped dark green leaves, which extends the baby leaf harvest window, high resistance to downy mildew. Let me show you the seed for these guys. You can tell that they are smaller. A little bit smaller than the Bloomsdale spinach that I have. So there may not be a rhyme or reason to this one. And these have a 1/2 inch depth as well. I'm going to lightly seed them at first since I only have so many of them. And then we'll fill in the rest with whatever we got. That 1 packet of seeds. And let's see. Well, let me rephrase that. So about 1,000 seed pack of spinach will fill one of my raised beds that I was talking to you about. Will fill one of my raised beds that I've created here, which isn't bad. That's not too bad. So I'm just seeding them fairly heavy. Just because these are kind of a year-old seeds, and I'm hoping they come up with a good stand. I usually don't like keeping old seeds around anyway, so ain't got too many left, so I'm just going to kind of spread them around. It's kind of a heavy seed bed there, but that's not too bad. Now we're just going to cover them up to about 1/2 inch only. And whenever you're direct seeding things, I would not rely on drip tape at first. And once your seedlings come up and they sprout, then you could probably rely on your drip tape. But if you just rely on them to germinate the seeds, you may have some trouble. Okay, now remember, seed to soil contact is very important. All right, now that we got all this seeded, we're just going to water it in gently. Wash any of my seeds away. Just enough to get it wet this first time, and then I'll come check on it again in about an hour and probably water it again until I think that it's watered all the way through. That way you make sure you have enough moisture for your seeds to germinate. Okay, so now that we got those spinaches done, I'm going to save one for me and the kids to do after a while, but I'm going to tell you what it is. It is the Aurorch, however you pronounce it, spinach. It is a 24-day to maturity, which is a very quick spinach, okay? It's a hybrid spinach that has fast-growing upright variety potential. The winter, for your winter tunnels, it's a very tall plant, long stems, leaves are dark green, very heavy, smooth, and flat. With an elongated oval shape, it is suitable for picking at all growth stages. But we will probably cut it for baby spinach or something of that sort since we got the Bloomsdale. So hopefully we can have 2 baby spinaches, and the Bloomsdale will be more of a cooking, and the baby spinaches we would use for salads, and the Bloomsdale we like to use for cooking a lot. And hopefully we could bring you some cooking shows or cooking videos on that. Would be pretty cool as well. So this is Not a Pro Gardener here. This is how we plant spinach at home in our raised bed gardens. Now, I'm going to finish the rest of the job here, make sure everything's watered in. You just make sure that it has plenty of moisture. It's Not a Pro Gardener here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you got any spinach planting tips, put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about them. Simple tricks that you could share with anybody and everybody to help somebody grow spinach. That's kind of the main goal here. So if you got any helpful hints or tips, put them in the comments below. We'd love to hear about them. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I'll see you next time out here in the garden. Have a great day.